Let me tell you the fastest way to destroy your real estate career. Try to make every buyer happy. Try to make every vendor choose you. Try to stop every staff member from leaving. Try to answer every critic. Try to control every competitor. Try to convince every person who has already decided not to understand you. Do that long enough, and you won't need the market to destroy you. You'll destroy yourself. My name is Peter Lee. I came to Australia from a small town in China. English was not my first language. I did not grow up with powerful connections, a ready-made network, or some magical family database filled with wealthy property investors. I had to learn business, culture, communication, confidence, negotiation, leadership, investing, and how to work with people from every possible background. Today, I'm the co-founder of Plus Agency in Sydney. I've worked across project marketing, luxury property, developer relationships, team building, business growth, branding, and leadership. And after years of working with buyers, vendors, developers, agents, team leaders, marketers, lawyers, lenders, and business partners, I've realised something very important. A huge amount of stress in real estate comes from trying to control people who were never under your control in the first place. A buyer ghosts you. You replay the conversation all night. A vendor chooses another agent. You start wondering whether you've lost your ability. A staff member resigns. You question your entire leadership style. A competitor criticises you. You spend 3 days preparing a reply they probably won't even read. Someone leaves a negative comment on your video. Suddenly you want to change your personality, your accent, your haircut, your lighting, your camera angle, and possibly your entire career. That is not strategy. That is emotional hostage taking. And that is why today I want to talk about Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. The idea sounds almost too simple. 2 words, let them. When I first heard it, I thought, that's it? I've read books about systems, psychology, habits, leadership, wealth, investing, and decision making, and now the answer is just let them? But the more I thought about it, the more I realised those 2 words solve a problem that has been living rent-free in many people's minds for years. Because think about how much energy we waste trying to control things we cannot control. The buyer doesn't call back. The vendor chooses someone cheaper. A developer appoints another agency. A team member believes the grass is greener somewhere else. Someone copies your content. Someone criticises your strategy. Someone misunderstands your intention. Interest rates move. The media predicts the 17th property crash of the year. People gossip. Competitors talk. Social media comments appear from people whose profile picture is a cartoon dog. And what do? We react. We explain. We chase. We defend. We argue. We try to manage everybody's opinion as if we are the customer service department for the entire internet. Mel Robbins says, let them. Not because you don't care, not because you've given up, not because you've become passive, but because you finally understand the difference between influence and control. You can influence people. You cannot control them. You can present your value to a vendor. You cannot force them to choose you. You can follow up a buyer properly. You cannot force them to reply. You can build a strong company culture. You cannot force every employee to appreciate it. You can communicate honestly. You cannot force everyone to understand you correctly. You can do your best work. You cannot force the market to reward you immediately. That is reality. And the moment you accept reality, you get your energy back. But here is the most important part of the book. It is not only let them, it is also let me. Let them make their choice. Let me choose my response. Let them walk away. Let me protect my dignity. Let them criticize. Let me decide whether there is anything useful in the criticism. Let them choose another agent. Let me keep improving my service. Let them reject the offer. Let me create another opportunity. Let them doubt me. Let me keep working until their doubt becomes irrelevant. That is where the power is. Let them without let me can become avoidance. But let them followed by let me becomes responsibility. And real estate agents need both, because this industry can make you emotionally dependent on other people's reactions. A vendor sounds happy? Great day. A vendor sounds unhappy? You question your entire life. A buyer praises you? You feel like the greatest agent in Sydney. A buyer complains. Suddenly, you're searching online for alternative careers. Your social media video gets 50,000 views. You think you've cracked the algorithm. The next one gets 86 views. Now you believe YouTube has personally declared war on your family. That is not emotional stability. That is outsourcing your self-worth. And if your confidence depends on everybody approving of you, real estate will destroy you. Because rejection is not an unusual event in real estate. Rejection is the business model. You will be rejected by buyers, rejected by vendors, rejected by developers, rejected by recruits, rejected by the market, rejected by social media. Sometimes you will even be rejected by people who approached you first. They call you, they ask for your advice, they take your time, they request 3 proposals, they ask 17 questions. Then they disappear so completely, you start wondering whether they entered witness protection. That is real estate. If you treat every rejection as a verdict on your value, you will eventually become afraid to act. You stop calling, you stop asking, you stop posting, you stop prospecting, you stop trying. You make yourself smaller so nobody can reject you. Then you call it being realistic. But it is not realism. It is fear wearing a professional suit. The let them theory teaches something liberating. Other people are allowed to have their opinion, and you're allowed to continue anyway. That sentence is powerful because one of the biggest traps in business is trying to prove yourself to people who have already decided not to see you clearly. You can waste years doing that, trying to impress the wrong client, trying to retain the wrong employee, trying to win over the wrong business partner, trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, trying to gain approval from people who will simply move the goalposts every time you get closer. At some point, you have to ask, is this relationship still productive? Is this person open to a real conversation? Is there mutual respect? Or am I simply addicted to winning their approval? That question matters because approval can become an addiction, and real estate is full of it. Awards, followers, rankings, sold stickers, luxury cars, watches, office photos, big team photos where everyone pretends the meeting 5 minutes earlier was completely peaceful. People want to look successful because they want the market to confirm that they matter. But if you need applause to keep going, you are not free. Real freedom is being able to say, you may not understand me, you may not agree with me, you may not choose me, but I still know what I stand for. That is maturity. And I think this lesson is especially important for leaders. When you lead a business, you naturally want everyone to be happy. You want people to understand your decisions. You want them to appreciate the opportunities. You want them to see the pressure, responsibility, and work happening behind the scenes. But leadership does not guarantee appreciation. Sometimes you make the right decision and people still dislike it. Sometimes you create accountability and people call you difficult. Sometimes you set standards and people call you demanding. Sometimes you give 10 opportunities and people only remember the 11th one they did not receive. Let them. Not because you don't care, because you cannot build a serious company by designing every decision around everyone's immediate emotional comfort. That is not leadership. That is people-pleasing with a business card. A leader must listen. A leader must reflect. A leader must be fair. A leader must admit mistakes. But a leader cannot be controlled by the fear that someone may be unhappy, because when leaders become scared of discomfort, standards disappear. Poor performance gets tolerated. Difficult conversations get delayed. Exceptions become normal. The strongest people in the company start wondering why effort no longer matters. And once standards disappear, culture follows. At Plus Agency, I've learned that sometimes people leave. Let them. Sometimes they believe another company is better for them. Let them. Sometimes they think the grass is greener somewhere else. Let them go and inspect the grass. Maybe it is greener. Maybe it is artificial turf with a very good Instagram filter. Either way, they need to discover it themselves. Your job is not to force people to stay. Your job is to build a place worth staying in. That is a major difference. You can offer opportunity. You can provide training. You can support people. You can communicate. You can build culture. But eventually, people make their own decisions. And sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is let them. Because when you try too hard to hold on to someone, you may begin lowering your standards. You tolerate behaviours you would never accept from anyone else. You give more and receive less. You start carrying their ambition for them. But you cannot want success for someone more than they want it for themselves. That is exhausting and impossible. Sometimes let them is not rejection, it is clarity. Let people show you whether they belong in the next chapter. That applies to staff, it applies to friendships, it applies to partnerships, it applies to clients, and it definitely applies to listings. Think about vendors. Some vendors will appreciate honesty. Others will choose the agent who gives them the highest price, the lowest fee, the shortest campaign, free marketing, free styling, and possibly a complimentary family holiday. Let them. Of course, you should present your value. Of course, you should explain your strategy. Of course, you should fight for good business. But if someone only wants to hear a fantasy, let them choose the fantasy, because you do not need every listing. You need the right listings. A listing with completely unrealistic expectations can cost you months of time, marketing money, emotional energy, team resources, and reputation. Sometimes losing the wrong listing is not failure, it is protection. That lesson takes time to understand. When you are young in real estate, every opportunity feels important. You want every listing, every buyer, every developer, every recruit, every project, every partnership. But as you grow, you realize opportunity has a cost. Every yes takes time away from something else. Every misaligned client occupies emotional space. Every difficult relationship creates work for the entire team. Mature business is not only knowing what to chase, it is also knowing what to release. Let them choose another agent. Let me focus on the clients who value honesty, service, communication, relationships, and execution. That is not arrogance, that is alignment. Now, think about buyers. Some buyers will inspect 27 properties and still tell you they are only starting their research. Some buyers will ask for every document ever created since the building was first imagined, then disappear. Some buyers will make an offer 25% below market value and become deeply offended when the vendor says no. Some will blame you for property prices, as if you personally created Sydney's housing market between two open homes. Let them have their reaction, but let me stay professional. Let me communicate clearly. Let me qualify better. Let me protect my time. Let me focus on the buyers who are ready, realistic, and respectful. That is how the theory becomes practical. It does not remove responsibility. It improves responsibility. Instead of trying to control the buyer, improve your process. Instead of chasing endlessly, set a clear follow-up structure. Instead of taking silence personally, move to the next opportunity. Instead of becoming emotional, use the information. That is professional detachment, and every strong agent needs it. Because caring deeply about your work is good. Being emotionally controlled by every outcome is dangerous. There is a difference between commitment and attachment. Commitment says, I will do my best. Attachment says, this must happen exactly the way I want, or I cannot be okay. Real estate punishes attachment, because you cannot control every result. Deals fall over, finance fails, valuations come in low, contracts are delayed, vendors change their minds, buyers meet another agent, projects get postponed, markets turn. You can execute perfectly and still lose sometimes. That is reality. The let them theory does not promise everything will work out. It teaches you not to lose yourself when it does not. That is far more useful. Another part of the book that connects strongly with real estate is comparison. Agents compare everything: listings, commission, followers, views, awards, cars, watches, offices, team size, suburbs. Someone younger becomes successful and suddenly you feel late. Another agent posts a record sale and suddenly your own career feels inadequate. Someone opens a bigger office and now your own business feels small. Let them succeed. Seriously, let them win. Let them celebrate. Let them become famous. Let them have the bigger team. Their success is not your failure. That mindset is important because jealousy consumes energy without producing value. You can spend hours studying another agent's highlight reel while ignoring your own real work. And social media makes this worse. You see the sold sticker. You do not see the 3 deals that collapsed. You see the award. You do not see the debt. You see the luxury car. You do not see the monthly repayment. You see the smiling team photo. You do not see the argument that happened before the photographer said, "Everyone move closer." Comparison gives you incomplete information and asks you to judge your entire life with it. That is a terrible deal. Let them have their journey. Let me focus on mine. Let them be ahead today. Let me keep learning. Let them get more attention. Let me build something real. Let them have a bigger audience. Let me improve the quality of what I say. That is how you turn comparison into discipline. Another area where this theory matters is reputation. In real estate, people will talk. Some will praise you, some will criticize you. Some criticism will be useful, some will be nonsense. You cannot chase every conversation. You cannot defend yourself in every room. You cannot correct every opinion. If you try, your entire life becomes one long public relations emergency. Let them talk. But let me make sure my actions remain consistent. Let me keep my promises. Let me treat people properly. Let me communicate honestly. Let me continue building evidence over time. Because reputation is not built by one conversation. It is built by patterns. If your pattern is strong, gossip eventually becomes weaker than evidence. That does not mean you never respond. If something is serious, false, or damaging, respond appropriately. Protect the business, protect your people, protect the facts. But do not waste your life arguing with every person who has Wi-Fi and an opinion. That is not strategy. That is emotional volunteering, and nobody is paying commission on it. One of the strongest applications of let them is negotiation. Negotiation becomes much harder when your ego needs the other person to agree. A vendor says no. Let them say no. A buyer rejects the counteroffer. Let them reject it. Now ask, what does this tell me? What are their priorities? What alternatives exist? What is my next move? The moment you stop treating disagreement as disrespect, you negotiate better. You become calmer, you listen more carefully, you stop forcing, you start understanding. And calm people usually negotiate better than desperate people. Desperation is expensive. Buyers can feel it, vendors can feel it, employees can feel it, business partners can feel it. The let them theory removes desperation because it reminds you one person's decision does not control your future. There will be another buyer, another listing, another opportunity, another partnership, another chapter, but only if you protect your energy. And that may be the real value of the book. Energy. Most people think time is their most valuable resource, but emotional energy is just as important. You can have 10 free hours and waste all of them replaying one conversation. You can have a large team and still accomplish nothing because everybody is emotionally distracted. You can miss a great opportunity because you are still angry about the last rejection. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is strategic, especially in sales, because clients borrow your emotional state. If you are calm, they feel calmer. If you are confident, they feel more certain. If you are desperate, they become suspicious. If you are angry, they become defensive. Your energy enters the room before your strategy does. That is why letting go matters. You cannot lead a vendor properly while secretly needing their approval. You cannot negotiate properly while terrified of losing the deal. You cannot manage a team properly while trying to be everybody's best friend. You cannot build a personal brand while being afraid of every negative comment. You need space between other people's reactions and your own identity. That space is power. Another thing I appreciate about this theory is that it helps reveal who people actually are. When you stop chasing, you see who reaches back. When you stop over-explaining, you see who tries to understand. When you stop carrying the entire relationship, you see whether the other person contributes. When you stop solving every problem for someone, you see whether they can take responsibility. Sometimes we are so busy trying to maintain relationships that we never allow those relationships to show us the truth. Let them show you, then believe the pattern. Not one bad day, not one mistake, the pattern. If someone repeatedly disrespects your time, that is a pattern. If someone repeatedly breaks promises, that is a pattern. If someone only appears when they need something, that is a pattern. If someone refuses every piece of feedback, that is a pattern. But positive patterns matter too. If a team member consistently shows commitment, that is a pattern. If a client stays respectful under pressure, that is a pattern. If a business partner keeps their word, that is a pattern. Let people reveal themselves. Then build your decisions around reality, not hope, because hope is not a management strategy, and potential is not performance. Another powerful part of Let Me is asking what is actually within my control. Let me improve my presentation. Let me follow up properly. Let me communicate earlier. Let me set clearer expectations. Let me choose better clients. Let me build stronger systems. Let me become more emotionally disciplined. Let me stop blaming people for being exactly who they have repeatedly shown me they are. That last one is important. Sometimes our frustration is not really about what someone did. It is that they did exactly what they always do, and we were hoping this time would be different. At some point, disappointment becomes self-inflicted if you keep ignoring the pattern. Let them be who they are. Let me decide how close they should be to my business, my team, my time, and my future. That is not cold. That is responsible. And maybe the biggest lesson from the let them theory is this. Peace does not come from finally getting everyone to behave correctly. Peace comes from accepting that they won't, and knowing you can still choose what happens next. That is freedom. You do not need the vendor to agree immediately. You need the courage to tell the truth. You do not need the buyer to reply. You need a better pipeline. You do not need every employee to stay. You need clear standards and a strong culture. You do not need every competitor to respect you. You need to respect your own work. You do not need everyone online to like your content. You need to say something valuable enough that the right people remember it. That is the shift, from controlling them to leading yourself. And if I could summarize the let them theory for real estate agents in one sentence, it would be this: stop wasting your best energy trying to control other people's choices and start using that energy to improve your own. Let them reject you. Let me improve. Let them misunderstand you. Let me remain clear. Let them compete with you. Let me become better. Let them leave. Let me keep building. Let them doubt you. Let me continue until their doubt becomes irrelevant. Once you understand this, real estate becomes lighter. Not easier, lighter. You still work hard. You still care. You still negotiate. You still fight for the client. You still lead. But you stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours. You stop trying to control every reaction. You stop begging people to see your value. You stop allowing one rejection to ruin your entire week. You put that energy back into your health, your family, your team, your clients, your business, and your future. So if this video gave you something useful, leave one word in the comments: freedom. Because that is what I want you to take away from this book. Freedom from chasing approval. Freedom from managing everyone else's emotions. Freedom from replaying every rejection. Freedom from needing every person to understand you. Freedom to focus on what you can actually control. Let them be who they are. Let me become who I need to be. And if this video made you think differently, send it to one person who is carrying too much stress from people they cannot control. Sometimes one idea, heard at the right time, gives someone permission to finally put down a weight they were never meant to carry. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. I'll be sharing more lessons from business, real estate, investing, books, technology, sport, movies, and life, all through the lens of what it actually takes to build success from zero. I'll see you in the next one.